caused some kind of fanfare and some kind of entertainment today in Asaba, the Delta State capital, when supporters of the PDP and that of the governor, Senator Okowa, gathered and trooped out in their numbers to give the PDP vice presidential candidate a support and a rousing reception. Last week, before the deadline, the PDP presidential candidate, Atiku Abubakar, announced Senator Okowa as a running mate. A lot of reactions have trailed the decision of the candidate.
He arrives in company of his wife and other well-wishers to the tarmac, where officials of Delta State are waiting to receive them.
Well, then you see pictures of the reception given to Senator Okowa, the governor of Delta State, as his people welcomed him to the state after it was announced as a running mate to Atiku Abubakar tonight. We hope to hear firsthand from the PDP vice presidential candidate, who a lot of reactions have trailed his emergence. Senator Okowa, the governor of Delta State, PDP vice presidential candidate, joins us live on the program from Asaba, the Delta State capital. Thank you so much, Your Excellency, and I must say congratulations for your emergence, your nomination as the VP candidate of your party. But let me begin by first, asking you, did you see this coming? Were you gunning for this? Did this come to your mind as a possible next move after exiting the stage as the governor of Delta State? Was this premeditated by you?
First, I want to thank you for having me on your program. The nomination as a vice presidential candidate could not have been premeditated because it is the right of the candidate to make a choice. And as we went into the week of the convention, it was not clear who was going to win the elections or the nominations. But the only time it did start coming to my mind that there was a possibility that I could be on that ticket was when the party has started narrowing down to the South-South geopolitical zone. But even as at that, it could have been any person because there were several persons from the South-South geopolitical zone who were qualified, eminently qualified, to be nominated as vice presidential candidates. It's just the grace of God that I did emerge at the end of the selection, and I give thanks to God.
There are a lot of reactions that have trailed your emergence. First and foremost, let's look at the selection process. We understand that there was a voting process leading to the decision of the party and the decision of the candidate. First and foremost, we understand that you came second in the voting process, but the candidate chose you. Why did the party take that route?
In the first instance, from the information that I've gathered, I don't think there was a voting process. I do know that there are several processes that are undertaken before the candidate makes a choice. From the briefings that I have, the candidates in advising the party did request that 3 names should be nominated to him, from which he was going to make his choice. And I think the party at the end actually did nominate 3 names. He actually went on to narrow it down before the party went into his committee that was selected for this purpose. And he had narrowed down the selection to 3 persons, and all 3 have to come from the South-South geopolitical zone. And he did brief us at the Governors Forum of the PDP that he wanted a serving governor. So the implication of that was that since we had 5 serving governors in the South-South geopolitical zone that were of the PDP, that 3 persons had to be nominated out of 5 of us. I'm not aware from the briefing that I did get that there was any voting process, because they couldn't have required the voting. It's possible that people may have made comments as to who and who ought to be among the 3 from the 5 persons, because there were 5 governors, and we needed to select 3 to nominate to Atiku Abubakar, who is our candidate. And I think at the end of the day, the party did make a recommendation of 3 of the 7 governors, and the candidate made a choice out of the 3 or 4. So that's why I did actually say that it's just the grace of God that enabled me to emerge. Otherwise, we were all eminently qualified.
So one looks at it this way, from some of the conversations we've had and the information coming out of the party, was that Governor Nyesom Wike of Rivers State, yourself, Governor of Delta State, Ifeanyi Okowa, and the Governor of Akwa Ibom State, Emmanuel Udom, were the 3 that made the cut. But eventually we understand that the proposition of the committee was that Governor Wike was a choice, but that there was a decision by the candidate for you to be his running mate. But if you can tell us, what are the qualities you think that the candidate saw, or what are the conversations he had with you that led to his final decision to deciding that you will be his running mate over Governor Wike, for example, who we understand that got a popular decision or proposition by some of the leaders of the party?
Sure, I want to thank you, but I think that this question should actually be answered by the candidate himself. Because as I did say, yes, you're right, 3 names were nominated. Myself, Governor Wike of Rivers State, and Governor Emmanuel Udom of Akwa Ibom State. 3 names were submitted to the candidate. But I do believe that he must have had a look at the 3 of us and made a choice based on certain parameters that will be clearly known to him. It should not be in my position to say exactly why he did pick me. But otherwise, in his comment, in making the nomination, he did pay glowing tributes to the 3 of us. We had worked very closely with the party, and we have continued to be party members. But he cannot make a choice. He had to make a choice, one out of the 3 of us. And I truly think and believe that the decision was his, and he alone would know exactly why he did pick me as his vice presidential candidate. But for me, I give thanks to God. And I actually thank my brothers who were possible vice presidential candidates, because they had also worked very closely with me, and they had worked for the party. They've actually given a lot of support to the party, just as I have done. They were eminently qualified, and it could have been any one of us. Truly, it could have been any one of us. But the real reason I was chosen is only the candidate that will be in a position to give answers to that.
Thank you so much, Governor Okowa. Let's look at what you bring to the table. First and foremost, there are a lot of misgivings. There are a lot of those of your party members who are very happy about your emergence, who thought that your experience in the Senate, you being a 2-term governor, would count. And looking at what you've done, those who made reference to your organization abilities, the convention in Port Harcourt that you did for the party, there are a lot of things that people are saying. But there are those who have their misgivings about your emergence. For example, PANDEF, you must have heard their misgivings. I mean, they said that their sons and daughters should not accept because they had the mindset that the ticket or the presidency of the country should come from a certain region of the country. What are your immediate reactions to those kind of misgivings?
First, I want to appreciate the elders for the comments they have made. There's no doubt that they are entitled to the opinions that they have rendered to our people. I do not want to join issues with our elders. because they would have reasons for making the comments that they have made, depending on the information that is available to them at the particular point in time. But for me, as I did say before Arise Television in my interview with them, I belong to a political party, and that party is the People's Democratic Party. I've committed myself to the party, and I remain a party member till today. So as a party man, I'm governed by the rules of the party, and governed by the policy direction of the party, and having committed to be a member of that party, it's only right that I have my obedience is to the party, as my obedience is also to the people of this country. And to that extent, if my party did in a National Executive Committee meeting take a decision following the recommendation of a committee that they would throw the presidential race open for the best to emerge, and we did go into the convention, and Alhaji Atiku Abubakar, the former vice president, emerged as a presidential candidate. It's only fair that if he's from the north and he's a Muslim, that a Christian from the south should be his running mate. It would have been a disservice on my part to have turned down the vice presidential nomination because I am a party man to the core, and I have the only decision I can make at this point in time is to support my party to win the elections, because I'm very much confident of the fact that the PDP has a role to play in rescuing this nation and rebuilding this nation for the future. And I think that the decision I did take is in consonance with the wishes of the large majority of our people in the PDP. I respect the views of our elders in the Pandef, in the Middle Belt, and the Southeast and the Southwest. But it's important that they also understand that I belong to a political party, and I have to commit myself to the decisions of the political party. Just as elders in their thought, they are committing themselves to the thought processes of the groups that they lead. And I think that at some point in time, we'll have time to truly discuss this, where I'll be given an opportunity to explain my own part, why we have to go on this path. This is a nation that is under a lot of challenge. It's a nation in which the voices out there are such that there's a lot of tension being created. But we realize that Nigeria is better if we are truly able to knit it together. And at a point in time when the conversations are such that they tend to divide us, at some point in time, we need to begin to bring our voices together to try to unite this nation. And I think that the PDP does realize that, and we truly believe that it's a time that we begin to sheath our swords and begin to look at what is best for Nigeria, what is best for, what best path do we have to take to be able to bring solutions to the current challenges that we have at the moment. And I think that for us in the PDP, we believe that we're on the right course to delivering that, and our voices must be such that we work towards rebuilding this nation, rebuilding the confidence, rebuilding the unity, and begin to approach the issues of insecurity in the country, because we must work together as stakeholders, along with our youth, along with our women, along with the elders of this country, the various traditional rulers and religious groups. We need to begin to bring our voices in such a manner that unifies us for a common fight against poverty, a common fight against unemployment, a common fight against our education that is going downhill, a common fight against
Your Excellency,
the loss of hope.
If I may hop in quickly, All right. The issue of zoning may not be something that will go away quickly. That conversation might be with us for a while. The southeast region of the country is one that has stayed and stick with your party for a long time. They will say they've shown loyalty to your party over the years. But some of the conversations that are coming out of that zone or region of the country is such that they feel betrayed. I mean, betrayer is what Pandev described your acceptance to be the running mate of the PD, of Atiku Abubakar. But if you look at it, you are Ifeanyi. Ifeanyi is an Igbo name. Do you identify as an Igbo man in that sense? Or do you imagine that the perceived neglect of the zone, of the southeast zone, could be hurtful for the chances of your party in 2023?
In the first instance, I'm Ifeanyi, and there's no doubt that I'm an Igbo man. I'm an Igbo man in Delta State, in the South-Side geopolitical zone. Secondly, there is no doubt that the Southeast has the right of agitation. And as the Southeast also has the right of agitation, the Northeast has also continued to make claims to the presidency. Because from the records available, both the Northeast and the Southeast have not been able to produce a president in this country as of today. I do believe that the issues are there. These are issues that must be discussed. These are issues that must be taken into consideration as we move into the future. There's no doubt about that. But in making requests, we also do realize that we're in a democratic process. And a democratic process, it's not just enough to be able to push for something as lag back. As you push, you continue to push. It may not come at the time that you want it, but it stays on the table, and at a particular point in time, obviously it will come. The Northeast feels that they are entitled to the presidency. The Southeast feels that they are entitled to the presidency, and both are right. When we were talking about the issues of the presidency, if the Pandev, it's not even just about Pandev or the Southwest, the Afenifere or the Middle Belt or the Ohanese alone, in their collective voice, if they had insisted that the presidency will want it this time and insisted it must be on the Southeast, a good request. But the real truth is, we're just asking for a Southern presidency without trying to situate it where ordinarily it should be. Just as those who were also asking for a presidency in the North for one reason or the other, because if you ask questions too, you begin to see people tell you that since 1999, if you check the number of years, at the end of 2023, you find that the South has occupied the presidency for more years than the North. So people also have their opinion, and the tendencies are different. The tendencies are actually different depending on what line of argument that you're bringing on board. But as of today, the real truth is both the Southeast and the Northeast have continue to lay claims that it is their turn to have the presidency, and I think that those claims are not wrong. They are obviously not wrong. But under the circumstances that we found ourselves, our vice president, former vice president, Atiku Abubakar, who is from the Northeast, in our convention got the ticket, and to a large extent that has situated, by God's grace, when we win in February 2023, that has situated the presidency in the Northeast. So as we move forward and the Igbos continue to make the agitation, and show that the time will come when an Igbo man will also be president of this nation. The important thing is that the issues are already on ground, and we'll continue to discuss them.
We're due for a break in about 30 seconds or so, but I'd like you to quickly, in just 30 seconds, touch on this matter before we go on the break. And it's a matter of the fact that whatever your party is doing now, there are those who believe that it is the expediency of winning the election that have caused the party to move in that direction. going north for the presidential candidate, those who believe that the party needed to win an election against the APC and they needed to do that. And going south and stretching out to you from the south is also an political expediency. But now, look at it. Winning the election, you wonder that the biggest zone, the big boys in terms of voting population, who is the northwest and the southwest. Do you think the pair of Atiku Abubakar and Ifeanyi Okowa from a northeast and the south-south, they are not of the biggest voting bloc in the country, can win PDP an election in 2023? Just in 30 seconds.
Yes, I believe that it's a strong team. I believe that Nigerians do know that we bring on board a lot of experience, the experience of the former vice president and the experience that I also bring to the ticket from both the legislature and having been governor this number of times. We bring experience to the table. It's going to be just beyond the issue of zones when we talk, when we go into the campaigns. The experience that we bring on board that is positive experience will definitely give us a victory path. You can find that the APC is already finding it very difficult to find who will be their vice presidential candidate. We're hearing some we've not heard before, that they have somebody on placement to be replaced. That actually is not smart. It does not give you, make us believe that they're even ready for the election. There's still a lot of confusion in the APC, and I believe that we're on the right path. Right from day one, we have taken our decisions, we are moving on, and we believe that will bring a lot of experience that will touch the lives of our youth, that will touch the lives of our women, and that will give us a new path in educational development beyond what we are seeing today. Things are going downhill.
Let's conclude our conversation now, Your Excellency, and perhaps let me begin by asking you, because before I go into what you bring to the table as a running mate to Atiku Abubakar, because that will matter, your pedigree, what the things that you think in your mind will make you win the election. But first and foremost, it's like you need some house cleaning before you get into the polls. There are a lot of people who are not happy. I know that your political godfather is one that is not being in tune with you in the past few days, whether or not you have been able to reconcile with him, and also your other colleagues in the party that may have some misgivings. How are you reconciling? Are you reaching out to them? Have you called some of them who have shown their misgivings in the last few days?
In the first instance, if you're talking about the former governor of Delta State, Chief James Onefebori, I think that people just try to to exaggerate the difference that was thought to be between us. But I want to truly assure you and to bring to your knowledge that he was one of the very strong voices for me in the last few days before my nomination. And I think that he made a great input in the last few days to enable me be nominated. So there are no issues really, and I think that he did great. Concerning my colleagues, I've been reaching out to my colleagues. I believe that we are on the right path. Reconciliation is coming on gradually, and I believe that in the next few days we're likely all going to be on the same path, working strongly to achieving success in the elections. It's a continuing thing, and I want to truly appreciate all my colleagues, not only those who were nominated as vice presidential, nominated by the committee, but my colleagues across the states in this nation. All of us, I want to thank them and to thank all other party leaders, including former governors, who have continued to work very hard in their various states. We are comfortable and we are going very fast. The issues are not too strong. We are actually making up.
So let's conclude the conversation tonight, Governor Okowa, and just in 30 seconds, if you can tell Nigerians what you bring to the table. Why should Nigerians look in the direction of Atiku Abubakar and Ifeanyi Okowa and hand over their destinies for the next 4 years into their hands? What do you bring to the table? Why should Nigerians trust their destinies and the destiny of this nation of about 200 million people into your hands with some of the problems we're facing right now? Can Nigerians trust Ifeanyi Okowa and Atiku Abubakar for the next 4 years? Just in 30 seconds.
In the first instance, I've worked in so many places. I've been local government council chairman, commissioner, secretary, a senator, and governor. And in all these positions, I've done well. I've worked very well with the youths. I've worked very well with the women. I've brought a lot onto the table. If you find out, Delta State is a very peaceful state, even when it's a mini Nigeria with so many ethnic groups. We have been able to unite ourselves. We have been able to build peace together. We have been able to build development of the state together, and the narratives are good. The education sector in Delta State is strong, and all these are things we're going to bring up. The entrepreneurial spirit in our youth have been stirred up, and we have continued to ensure that our youth are meaningfully engaged and that they acquire skills to be able to help themselves. These are things we need to bring into the nation. We have also given an enabling environment for the private sector to thrive. Vice President Atiku Abubakar, the candidate of the party, is quite experienced. And in today's Nigeria, with the kind of things that we see, I believe he's the right man. He's going to hit the ground running on day one. He knows what to do in terms of insecurity, in terms of building our people. He's been talking about the issues of restructuring, which is foremost in our mind in many parts of the South. He's been talking about education, the need to rejig our education, to put it on the right path, to ensure that we bring entrepreneurial skills into the education sector, to ensure that we have vocational education, apart from ensuring that our students get the best. And the economy is a major issue. And he is one man that we know that even in his time with Obasanjo, they were able to deal with the issue of the economy in such a manner that we could trust that Nigeria could get over all this again. So he brings a lot to the table, just as I'm able to complement it. And I think that all these issues will be taken care of as we come in.
Thank you so much, Your Excellency, Governor of Delta State and the Vice Presidential candidate of the People's Democratic Party in the 2023 presidential election. Thank you indeed for talking to us tonight.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much.